I'm going to be applying DPS Phantom Permanent Waxless Glide to my Rossi Soul 7 HDs. I've just got them back from the shop. They've been ground, structured, but there's no wax on it, so it's super clean, and this is the best way apparently to prepare your ski before you put this stuff on. We've got a little bit of sun here, so hopefully we've got enough time for the cure, and this is the second version, the 2.0 version of Phantom Glide, which apparently only requires an hour each time for curing, so fingers crossed we're good to go. Okay, so I've got my skis all set up, nice firm support. This is the box, and here's everything that comes inside it. A little foam pad which you use to apply, a brush and cork which you're going to use for cleanup, the actual chemicals themselves, some instructions, and a good stack of these nitrile gloves. This is a clue that this stuff is pretty nasty. So I'm going to be extra careful. I'm probably going to put some glasses on, make sure I don't get it on my eye. Apparently it's pretty runny, so you only apply it from the contact points and not either side, otherwise it's going to run off. And even though this is a crappy workbench, I have put down some cloth just to give me a bit of protection so I don't dissolve away my whole workbench. So on that note, let's get started. Not quite cut enough. I think, there we go, let's see if that's a bit better. It actually smells like it's been scented or something. It smells almost a little fragrant, which is not what I was expecting. But it's not quite as runny as I thought it might be. So yeah, this is, let's see, famous last words, but this seems to be going on okay right now. Okay, let's do the front part. The ski, make sure we get it all. Okay, now I think pretty much, and it is, look at this, it is flipping around, so I don't know what this stuff is, but I really don't want to get it in my eyes for sure. So I'm glad I put some glasses on, because it would be easy to it's kind of, you can feel it sort of starting to dry a little bit, and so let's make sure we're doing this sort of circular motion they talk about in the instruction manual. Make sure I get right to the edges everywhere. Okay. And I read the instructions carefully. It doesn't say anything about wiping off the excess, so I assume you don't. And apparently the substance will start to bead when it's curing outside in the sun. Okay. Let's go and do the next pack. So we're just doing part A right now, and we'll do part B a little bit later. So I watched the video of the DPS guy do this a few times, and he seems to kind of focus on spreading it around a bit first, making sure it's everywhere, and then working it in. So I'm basically copying that technique I saw there, and you can see some is dropping off the skis, so probably a good job I've got this blanket down. Let's just hope it doesn't catch fire or something. Okay, so got it nicely spread out. Okay, start working it in a bit. Weird to think this permeates this plastic layer. And I'm glad I am wearing these gloves. Okay, so I think we are done with part A. I now need to get these out in the sunshine and get them curing for at least an hour, because this is formula 2.0, so it doesn't need 3 hours as the previous formula did, which is a little bit easier to work with. I may give it a little longer as it's a bit late in the day, and I don't think more cure time is bad for this, so let's go outside. Okay, so this is day 2, and last night I actually put these out for over an hour in the sunshine, but it was a little bit later in the day. This is formula 2.0, and it apparently cures in about an hour, so it should have had enough, but the sun was a little bit weaker than a full summer sun. So in the instructions it actually says if you don't get a full cure, put it in a hot room for 24 hours. So I did that just as an extra precaution. And if you look at the actual surface, you can see it's gone kind of a little bit chalky on top. So the next stage is to actually clean this stuff up using this little cork and brush that they've given us. So I'm going to do that next. One other tip I didn't do until I put it out yesterday. If we take a look at the ski, you can see I've clipped my binding brakes back using this elastic band that I got with a carrier. That keeps them out the way and also makes sure when I was curing them in the sunshine there was no shadow cast across the surface of the ski. I didn't want any part not to be correctly affected. So now I'm going to use this little cork side here to give this a clean first and hopefully get most of this white stuff off. Actually, if I come over here, I'll show you. You can see it kind of scraping up nicely. It's a little tough to get it clean, but at least when it's white, you can really see where it is. So I think I'll probably get the rest of it out with the brush that you can see on this side here. Okay, so now we're using the brush and going tip to tail, and I can see a lot more of this stuff coming out now, coming out of the structure on the bottom of the ski. But you know what, I think this is going to take a while until I'm convinced it's really clean and ready for part B to be applied. So but it's looking much better. Now I'm using this brush. You can actually see here where the grind finished when I had my skis ground. You can see the transition. But that's fine because this doesn't really ride in the snow anyway. We can see a big difference now between the right ski and the left ski. Okay, so this is now pretty clean, pretty happy with that, and it's time to put part B on. Now, I was just, as instructed, giving this a little bit of a squeeze to make sure it's all nicely mixed, and I don't know if you saw a bit leak out then. These packets don't look like they're properly sealed, and so it's squeezing out the bottom, and I just hope the formula isn't damaged as a result of that, but I'm being very careful mixing them up now. I actually taped this one up, as you can see. So hopefully that is not a major problem, but let's plow on and get this covered. So first ski, let's cut this open. And even though a little bit leaked out, it fortunately looks like it is still plenty left there for a ski. Okay, so. Although I am being a bit more careful not to waste any this time, because some did leak out. This smells different and feels different than Formula A. It doesn't seem as sort of sticky to the base, which is kind of weird. That might be because the base itself does now feel a lot kind of smoother. Because if you remember yesterday, it was a fresh base grind, and so it felt kind of rough. It's just been structured, no wax. Okay, I think we've more or less got this spread out, so let's start working it in exactly like they tell me to in the instructions. Making sure we get right up to the edges. Again, it almost smells fragrant, like it's been scented. It's not an unpleasant smell, a little chemical, but a little sweet. Not that I am tempted in any way, shape or form to taste it. I gotta say, don't know if it's just in my head, but the surface of the skis kind of looks good. It looks slippy and nice. I'm excited to try this out. I just hope it really cured well yesterday. I've got to say, this process of doing this at home is a little bit nerve-wracking, that you've not done it right and you feel like maybe I'm not going to get the absolute best performance out of this stuff that I could have done. And so it is tempting to go to one of the shops that are going to be doing this for you, a paid service. DPS has now got a bunch of retailers that will actually use a curing station, so it's really sort of scientific in the application and curing process. But few people are doing it right now. One store in Seattle called Evo is going to start in December, they said, and I didn't want to wait that long, so I'm going to try with these. If it's good, I'll probably get my Nordicas done as well. And who knows, maybe even treat myself to an actual pair of DPS skis with it pre-applied, which they'll do at this factory for you. When you order skis from DPS, they'll put the Phantom on and cure it, and I imagine that's probably the best possible treatment you're going to get if DPS are doing it themselves back in Utah, I guess. Okay, let's do the other ski. I'm really pleased this is still going on well, even though I had that little leak issue. There's quite a bit more in this pack, but I think looking how I had on the looking at the progress on the other ski, I think there's plenty, so I'm not worried about it. Okay. Edge to edge. Then just before I take it out, I'm going to get some kitchen roll and just make sure I wipe off the excess that's run around the top of the ski. I don't know, I don't need slippy tops on my skis, just slippy bottoms. Again, it doesn't really mention wiping off the excess before you take it out, so I'm just going to get it spread out as much as I can so there's no huge gloops sitting around. And you can see it's thickening up already, this stuff, and it's easier to work with it with these bands on, so that is a good idea. I would recommend doing that. Okay, I don't want to mess with that too much, it's sort of setting. So I'm just going to grab some kitchen roll now and then clean these edges, and then we'll take it outside. Okay, so let's get these folks outside. Keep those gloves on. And pop them out here on my workhorses. And as it dries a bit more, I may even try and angle them a little bit more into the sun like this, but I don't want any running off right now and killing my tattered lawn. Okay, let's check back in 2 hours or so. Okay, so here we are, and again it's had a good cure for about 2 hours, at least 2 hours, maybe 3, And you can see it's gone chalky. I wonder if that is the 2.0 formula that makes it kind of do that. I'm not sure. But I actually stood it up at the end for the last hour to make sure it gets a good whack of sun before it went down. So anyway, I'm going to clean these up now. I'm going to scrape them all off, get them all nice and ready to put away until it's actually ski season. And then report back, subscribe to the channel, and you'll see my first report on how this stuff actually worked out.